Welcome to another episode of Speaking with the Senator. I'm Senator Kevin Avard, your host. I represent District 12 here in New Hampshire, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about politics. Yesterday was our last day at the Capitol, and we had said all our goodbyes, and we did all our horse trading, if you want to call it that. And now it's campaign season already, and so we're looking for people to run. We have the deadline is next Friday, which is the 12th of June. And if you're interested in running, please run. You know, the water's warm. So I have a candidate that's going to be running here in Nashua in Ward 6. His name is Travis Tripodi.
Nice to meet you. Nice to see you.
Tripodi. Tripodi.
Yes.
Tripodi. Travis, thanks for stepping up to the plate. We appreciate that. You live in Nashua.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're a small business owner?
I am. Yeah, I'm an independent consultant, quality consultant. And
like, what do you do?
My background is in engineering, but I've I never really used CAD or anything like that. I never designed anything, but I got into quality, which is more like business process design, and I help my clients make their processes more efficient and their businesses run smoother. And yeah.
I think we could use that talent up there.
I was thinking that on the way over here. Like, I think this is actually a skill that I could leverage up at the State House.
Yeah, and you'll get a lot of resistance. Yeah, there's a lot of egos up there. There's a lot of independent thinkers as well, and yeah, that's interesting. You know, when you said your engineering kind of background, I automatically think, well, this is an analytical. Mm-hmm. You're an analytical thinker, most likely. Whereas there are other that, I think a little bit abstractly. That's how I kind of view people. But we need all types of thinkers up there, and people that can help things get a little bit more organized. There's 400 people up there, and everybody has an agenda. So how long have you been in business?
Well, I've been doing kind of like what I do for the past 10 years or so, but I started independently 4 or 5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago, wow.
Yeah.
And you live in Nashua, obviously. Yeah.
Yes.
Ward 6?
Ward 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so what's driving you to run for office?
Well, that's a good question. You could basically say that I'm feeling kind of called to do so. Yeah. I think about politics a lot. It's like one of those things that just gets my mind going. Mm-hmm. And it's an itch that I definitely need to scratch, you know. But I'm expecting my firstborn in July, at the beginning of July.
Oh, congratulations.
And thank you. And I've been spending kind of a lot of time. I wasn't sure if I was going to run this cycle, but I was spending a lot of time thinking about, the world that I would like him to inherit, the New Hampshire that I would like him to inherit. And there are a lot of things that I'm just not happy with, right now that's going on in politics and in the state, more so in the country. But I think there are things we can do here in the state to help insulate us from things going on in the country.
And that's really interesting because I think when I first ran, I just put my name on the ballot. I think I wrote one sign. Yeah. And I won by 9 votes.
Oh, wow.
And this was in Ward 1, 2010. I felt like you, needing the calling, and I'll step up to the plate if they say yes, then I'd be honored to serve, to make a difference. Whether it's education, whether it's your property taxes, there's all kinds of things that people are controlling your life. Yeah. Whether it's your school boards, whether it's your local municipalities, or the state. All these things influence you, and if you don't step up to the plate at some point, really don't have anything to complain about. Yeah, right.
That's exactly how I see it. I feel like I'm coming from a camp of I'd like to see less government, less involvement in our lives. Generally, people who think that don't run for office. And so I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm like, we need more people who think the way that I think about limiting the size of government and the scope of what they do, to step up and take the responsibility for filling these positions. I hope other people will do so.
There are definitely many people that will do so. I know that years ago we used to have a committee which actually would find old bills to get rid of them. But so here's
Good committee.
it was a good committee. They got rid of it. But one of the things that's really interesting is that you step up to the plate, and you'll see that there's at least 1,000 to 1,300 bills being legislated every year. Yikes!
Yeah.
That's a lot of people trying to influence your lives, whether it is your property taxes, your electric bill, whether it's your education, what kind of education, what kind of choices that you have in education, or what kind of choices they don't want you to have in education, what kind of material you can read. And the list goes on and on and on. And then you go into the healthcare issues. So it just, there's a myriad of areas where you can make an impact. If you do get in, which we hope you do, what area do you think you'd like to work on? What kind of committee? There's energy, there's science and tech, there's healthcare, there's judiciary, there's commerce, in the House. So there's all kinds of areas where you can be drawn to.
Yeah.
But
I think the subject that motivates me, or I think is like the biggest issue that we have right now, is just general affordability. And so I'd like to work on, anything that could help impact the affordability issue. Right now, I think primarily in this state, at least, that's driven by the cost of schooling.
Education or municipal. There's a municipal committee as well, because a lot of your local property taxes, 70% of your local property taxes is your schools.
Yeah.
And that just seems to just constantly, even though enrollment is going down, the cost of education is going up. And
there have to be things that we can do there at the state level to help with that, and those are the types of things that I'm interested in.
Yep.
Also, energy, I think, that's another way that we can help with affordability. It's more of a longer term, play there. You're not going to see returns overnight, but I'd like to see deregulation, and or at least at the state level, whatever we can do on the energy side.
We have deregulated a lot in energy already. And because of deregulation, we have a myriad of parts of energy now. So you have transmission, generation, you have wholesale markets, and the public PUC and improving things, long purchase power agreements, and just a host of different areas that because of deregulation, we're not vertically integrated anymore. And because of that, there's a host of turf wars in energy, and each turf war looks out for itself rather than your electric bill. So even though they'll say they do, but the reality is we got to, in some ways, yes, deregulation was supposed to bring costs down, but it hasn't. And so I did put in a bill which allows the utilities to allow a certain amount of local generation, up to maybe 10% of what they were originally capable of doing, because we need more generation. And I did put in some bills on nuclear, and also on solar. Not a big fan of wind. I think it kills birds. Sorry about that. I don't see the good return that we get on that. But the solar is like instant, and battery storage. We've done a lot in those areas this year, and we're just praying the governor signs a few of those. Yeah. But there's still a lot of antiquated pieces of legislation that we got to look at and say, okay, this was 20 years ago. This is 30 years ago. And those are things that really need to be addressed. Talking with one of my counterparts the other day, he's Democrat, I'm Republican, And we both agreed that we've got to make sure that the left hand is speaking to the right hand, and that we have a good good plan to fix some of the stuff that's just not working.
Yeah.
And so we'd love you to step up to the plate in the House on fresh ideas.
Yeah, it's interesting on that subject. I heard you give a speech a couple of months ago on toxicity and working across the aisle, and how important it is to be able to work with the other side. And that's one of the things that I hope to bring to the State House. I don't know if you're familiar with the organization Braver Angels, but they do some work up at the State House and in New Hampshire, and they're dedicated to depolarizing politics in the United States, and they are successful in some ways and unsuccessful in other ways. But I've been involved with them for a couple of years now, and kind of like working on those skill sets of how to cut through the polarization and talk to the other side in a language that they can appreciate. And I am going to try to do that in my campaign, and if I can make it to the State House, then I'm going to hope to be able to do that on the floor as well with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, because I'm sure that there are going to be Republicans I disagree with as well as Democrats. And yeah.
I was doing a carpet job today, and before I came here, and we was talking a little bit about politics, and I just said, sometimes I look in the mirror and I can tell you honestly that I disagree with that guy sometimes. Mm-hmm. That's me.
Yeah.
And if I can disagree with myself, I can disagree with Republicans as well as Democrats, and you've got to, check yourself. Don't forget the fact that the people on the other side are human.
Yeah.
And we lose that quite a bit. Senator Waters and I, we're polar opposites on a lot of social issues, but at the end of the day, we'll have a committee hearing in energy. Mics go off. Oh, Kev, how you doing? Great. How's your brother? Or how's everything going? Great. Yeah. My son's dancing in Texas, he'll tell me, and he's going to be putting it on a roof, and that cordiality is key to some of the things that we were able to accomplish this year.
Yeah.
And actually, our whole committee is like that in the Senate. I find that when we testify in the House, to be honest with you, it's like going through a meat grinder. Mm. Because there seems to be that spirit of, and it's both sides. There really is both sides. Yeah. It's like, how can I get a gotcha question?
Yeah.
I'm here to solve things. Get $100 a year.
Yeah.
And the day I leave that office, nobody's going to remember me.
Yeah.
So do your best at getting done what you think is going to help the state, help your child, have a better future, lower your property taxes, have a little more freedom, live for your die state, and maybe help the quality of life in New Hampshire and keeping it simple as possible. And putting the wrecking ball to the Department of Bureaucracy, because it gets just bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I want to be clear when I say I want to reach across the aisle and I want to have good relationships. Sometimes people hear that the wrong way. I consider myself a pretty principled person. Like the way I feel about, or the way my beliefs about the role of government and the role it should have in our lives are, to me, crystal clear, and that's not going to change. My belief is that, I believe in the natural rights of man. We should, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, property. These things are not things that the government grants us. These are things that are granted to us from God or whoever, external to the Creator.
And the government is there to protect those rights.
Yeah, and the government is there solely, in my opinion, to protect those rights and not to do anything else. And so that's how I feel from a principled perspective. But that doesn't mean that you can't treat other people that don't feel that way like humans. Right. and that's so I'm looking to take kind of these principled perspectives to the State House, and then persuade others in the House that don't see it the same way I do, through treating them with humanity and finding common ground where we can find common ground. I think there are people on the Democratic side of the aisle and the Republican side of the aisle that are aligned with that perspective, and there are people that are not aligned with that perspective. And so I'm looking to, find common ground wherever I can, but not necessarily change my opinions in order to get to that common ground.
Right. And I hear what you're saying, and it's a matter of keeping your principles at the same time of making sure that you're able to, and moving the goalpost in a direction that you want, but also not forgetting the humanity of the person next to you. I'd gotten a text once. I was in the Senate chambers, and my phone's buzzing, so I reach in my drawer and looking at what's going on here. I had just talked with Senator Rosenwald, and we whisper each other. It's like, oh, what's she doing? I don't know. What's she? I don't know. Oh, okay. Kevin, you really shouldn't be. And we just go back and forth like that, and it's good. It's healthy. And I get this little text. Why are you talking to the enemy? She's not my enemy. She's my neighbor. And I just was so offended by that.
Yeah.
And there are people in the background that are whispering in people's ears. Yeah. And they play with your reputation. They will attack you. You have to be ready. If you stand on any of your principles, even with love and compassion and mercy, people will misread you intentionally. So just be forewarned that's what you're asking for that $100.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's why it does feel like a calling. I don't think a lot of people understand this. Your audience probably does, but that we're not, like, the state representatives are not paid anything in New Hampshire. It's entirely volunteered.
That's why we can't call us politicians. We are truly public servants in New Hampshire.
Yeah, no, that is definitely the case. But I don't, I will say that I'm sympathetic to the perspective of people who are sending you that text where they say, why are you talking to the enemy? I don't agree with them, but I understand that some of these things that the government is doing is an infringement of their rights, and that does feel,
that's how they react.
I get the feeling of, lashing out and being like, this is somebody that's, my enemy, somebody that's trying to take from me, take my freedom or liberty or whatever it is, or that, take things away from my children in some regard, or in some cases, and so I will say, without, I agree with you that, we should put that where it belongs, which is, maybe not in the forefront of our minds, but right. I have an appreciation, for where those people, I don't want to dismiss where those people are coming from.
Totally don't dismiss, but I think my first calling, and I wanted to, I did want to preach at her, but I'm saying, I believe in Jesus. I believe in the kingdom of God. And I believe Jesus said that if you want to be greatest in the kingdom of God, you have to be the servant of all. That's how you become great in God's kingdom. And in doing so, in being in God's kingdom, I have to look at everybody as my neighbor.
Yeah.
And thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Oh, and thou shalt love thine enemy as well.
Yeah.
And if your enemy is hungry, you'll feed him. If he's thirsty, you'll give him drink. That's my faith, and that's how I feel my calling is. Yes, I've gotten up very passionately, and as a matter of fact, people say, Kevin, your heart. Come on, chill. Mm-hmm. My passion doesn't change on some of especially on some of the social issues.
Yeah.
However, when it comes to treating everyone in the Senate with respect that they deserve, that never changes. So, it's kind of a mixed world, but and I understand their passion, but really they're not my enemy, so to speak.
Yeah.
I definitely disagree with them wholeheartedly on a host of issues, and those issues do come out. And sometimes you can hear my colleagues in the House.
Yeah.
Roll call, and you can hear them yay or nay, and it gets very vocal. But at the end of the day, when you walk out of there, if you feel like you've done the right thing, there will be times that when you have to take a tough vote, it's like, if I vote yes, if I vote no, and you'll walk out of there like, I need to take a bath.
Yeah.
Because both issues were wrong, and you still have to take a stand, and that's how some of the sausage is made.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's one of the things that's maybe not appreciated enough by people who don't participate in the legislative process is how difficult, coming from principles of, wanting to respect the Constitution in all regards. Sometimes even with that, there are still difficult conversations in terms of, how to pass a bill, what the language of the bill should be. And I don't know if you're familiar with New Hampshire Liberty Alliance, but
Yes.
they rank bills and I think they're a pretty good standard against ranking them against the Constitution. But even they debate on what's what they should thumbs up and what they should thumbs down, because it's actually it's difficult. And like you said, there's going to be times where you don't feel great about the vote. But what I'm going to try to do, and if I'm elected by the people of Ward 6 of Nashua, is really to try and remember myself in what I believe and bring that to the courthouse or to the state house whenever I'm up there making the votes. And so I feel that I'm not betraying my own beliefs when I'm making those.
So are you originally from New Hampshire, or?
I grew up in Massachusetts,
Okay.
like a lot of people.
Welcome to the free country of New Hampshire.
I moved up in January of 2020, and it was kind of just in time, for the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I would actually say it was incredibly formative for me in becoming a Granite Stater. I really felt like I got an appreciation for what it meant to be from New Hampshire during that period, because I could, all of my friends and a lot of my friends and most of my family were still down there, and the difference in our lives and like the infringement on our liberties that Massachusetts took compared to New Hampshire.
There is a night and day difference.
And it really, I used to joke like we didn't have COVID up here,
Well, we did a little bit.
we had it a little bit, but like to me, the biggest impact of COVID was like the response to it. And in New Hampshire, we did a decent job. I mean, I have notes, but we did a decent job comparatively to to Massachusetts. And yeah, it was really like being forged in fire at that time.
It was definitely a learning experience. Now we have the Ebola thing that's everybody's talking about Ebola these days, and there's talking about a host of other issues that. But I think we've learned something about with the COVID plan. Some people call it the plandemic. We'll call it the pandemic. But some of the liberties were walked on, and some people died alone in New Hampshire. Some of my relatives did. They couldn't even receive a visit.
Yeah.
And that was very unfortunate.
There's certainly room for improvement in my mind, but I don't know if it's an exact Bible quote, but to kind of go back to that, the one thing I took away from that time was be not afraid. And I think it's an important lesson to remember and to repeat to ourselves over and over again, particularly as we're if we're working on laws that are going to control other people's lives, that should be something that we remind ourselves of.
Yeah, and I think if there's a national issue, instead of people being at each other's throats, I can remember watching movies and documentaries about World War II and World War I, and during the Great Depression, and sending everybody saving their tinfoil for the war effort. They were united in whether we got to take down Nazi Germany, and you got to support our troops, and I'd love to see the unity come back somehow, but that all starts local.
Yeah,
it can't be. The feds aren't going to do it. But it's got to be local, and it's got to be in my neighborhood. It's got to be in my cul-de-sac, and hopefully that ignites. And when you're up at the Capitol, the same thing.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do when I'm up there, I happen to be the singing senator. Music seems to bring people together. It's amazing how that works. But you'll find your niche. Maybe it's music, maybe it's something else.
I'll be the tone deaf state rep.
Yeah, I think there's a few of them. Yeah. That's all right. Yeah. But it just if you can bring joy at some point, regardless whether people understand you or not, kindness works a lot better than bitterness.
Yeah, what I try to remind myself of is whenever I have a disagreement with somebody or like a negative opinion about them or a negative experience is just to try to talk more with that person generally. And I think that that's something we need to remember.
Yeah.
We need to remind ourselves of is they're not. Everybody can turn into the devil if you if you don't speak to them and you lock them in a.
Well, I had a state representative come up to me the other day, and she said, Senator, I need to talk to you. Okay, because this person's been bad-mouthing me for a while. And she said, I want to let you know that I'm sorry. I bad-mouthed you. And she started to explain. I said, stop. I put out my hand. I said, I forgive you. Let's move on. But Senator, no. You don't have to worry about it. It's clean. It's done. That was totally humbling on her part to do that. And it's a clean slate.
Yeah.
And I think she's kind of like, am I really forgiven? Yeah, you are. You're really forgiven. And that spirit, I mean, the fact that you could humble yourself to do that, you don't see that often.
That's nice. It's a nice moment of humanity.
Right. Well, it is. And of course, my responsibility is definitely to forgive.
Yeah.
And because at the end of the day, we're all human. And, it's easy. It frees me up too. I don't have to have a bitter heart or anything like that.
No.
So how do people get in touch with you as far as your? Do you have a website? Do you have?
It's early days. I submitted my papers yesterday. I don't have a campaign website yet,
Okay.
but I will have a campaign website. You can follow me on @Travis Tripodi NH on X. That's the only place I really am right now. I've made an effort to get off social media.
So you're on X right now.
I'm on X right now.
And say it again slowly.
@Travis Tripodi NH.
And that is on the app X.
On the app X, yes.
All right, great.
And then I'll have a website and I'll have the information at some point. But it's early days for me here.
All right. So Ward 6, somebody's going to be knocking on your doors. This is Travis. He's okay. I trust him, and we hope that you can send him up to Concord next year and let him work for you. If you like the show, I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and like and share the video that you see today. And if you don't like the show, I'd appreciate it if you hit like and subscribe and share the video. It helps with the algorithm. So with that, thanks for watching Speaking with the Senator, and we'll see you next week.